Hey, what's up? You already know me, and you already know how these go. We got a lot of questions to unpack, so let's begin. Now, a couple of these questions are pretty similar to one another, so I'll group them together. The first question is, what's my favorite series, animated or otherwise? Well, when it comes to the animated stuff, my favorite series are Gumby, Pat and Matt, Wallace and Gromit, Jimmy Neutron, and Looney Tunes. And on the live-action side of things, Crazy Confused Normal, or Ludzbunje Normalan, as it's called in Bosnia, is also my favorite. Is it a coincidence that 3 out of these 5 cartoons are all animated in stop motion? Yeah, probably. But now let's move on to the next question. What was the main inspiration for the Groovy Dudes? See, now, the interesting thing about the Groovy Dudes is that the thing that inspired the characters wasn't a game or a show. It was actually real life itself. Joe was just a random llama that I was always visiting the zoo as a kid, and Morris was just a grayish tabby cat that belonged to one of our relatives. And his name was actually Jija, but I just kept calling him Morris, with a single R, mind you. And because I liked Mario a lot as a kid, the early version of Thaco was just Mario, but without his hat and mustache. And of course, he was a stand-in for me. But he had a completely different personality, because I thought my real personality was lame and I wanted to be someone else. These characters first started out in a comic, because I didn't know how to animate, nor that it was even possible to do such thing. And sadly, a lot of these comics are now lost, and not a single one of them was ever published anywhere on the web. However, from the ones I thankfully still have, you can sort of grasp an idea of what the series was. Also, it wasn't called the Groovy Dudes. I didn't even know what the word groovy meant at the time. I just called it Thaco and Friends because, well, duh, he was the main character. There's a lot more to discuss regarding these comics. Like, for the sake of not making this video too long, you can join my Discord and ask me stuff related to the lore. Or I can even make a video where I recreate these comics and discuss like all the stuff that's different from the series. Let me know if you want to see that. Does Thaco have parents? Of course he does. What kind of stupid question is that? Canonically, that is. They don't get mentioned in the show, and the only relative that appears is Ibro. Which character do I like the most? Well, other than the Groovy Dudes themselves, my favorite characters in terms of both design and like personality are all 4 of the Bear Gang members, Riff Rat, although he's a little bit controversial, Ibro, and Blue Blur, which is a caricature of Luller. Meanwhile, for my least favorite characters and characters that I don't like at all, those are Fishy, Stinkman, and the Season 4 Zigalians. They just don't have it. They're not groovy. I don't like them at all. Do you have plans to pitch the series to a major network? Well, if this was 2018, I would have said yes, because I was naive. But now that I'm more familiar with the industry and what does and doesn't sell, I would say no. Like, if I pitch my show to a kids network, they would completely sanitize it and remove all of the edge and personality for the sake of making it more marketable. And if I pitch it to an adult network, they'd make it incredibly ugly and disgusting, and it will be more vulgar than what it needs to be. Not to mention that on both networks, they'd only allow me to make like 6 or 7 episodes, and then they'll cancel it. And because they're the ones who own the IP, I wouldn't be allowed to make anything out of these characters. I know I may sound too negative or cynical, but trust me, I've been observing the inner workings of the industry, and it's not appealing to me at all. I prefer posting to the web anyway. Favorite Groovy Dudes episode? What animated show or movie did you watch that genuinely scared you, but also led to a big inspiration? Well, I've been scared by a lot of stuff, and I've been inspired by a lot of stuff, but I've never been both scared and inspired, so the answer to that is no. Has Morris ever kissed anyone? No, Morris and Joes are not the ones who smash in the trio. But guess who does? What kind of drawing tablet do you use? Oh, it's a pretty cool one. It's right here on my desk. Oh yeah! I just remembered. I draw with a mouse. I don't have a tablet. Have you ever seen The Tick, and do you know about SML? The answer to both of those questions is no. Got any advice on how to use Flip-A-Clip? Loud sound warning?
Don't use Flip-A-Clip!
Question number 1, what do you think about Robot Jones? Will you even make fan art for it? I've only seen 3 episodes of the show and it's alright. Not my cup of tea, but it's fine. What art style is the Groovy Dudes even supposed to be? Now this is gonna be the longest part of the video since I not only have a lot to say about the inspirations and differences between my 3 art styles, but I also want to discuss how the show evolved throughout these 3 years and how the inspirations shifted. So for the first art style, the inspirations are Neighbors from Hell, Garfield, and Hanna-Barbera. It features bold outlines like those Hanna-Barbera cartoons, but with the oval shapes and design philosophies of Garfield and Neighbors from Hell. The shapes are usually soft, though there are occasional sharp edges. Now for the second art style, it is inspired a lot by these heavily geometric cartoons like Samurai Jack, Fairly Odd Parents, and My Life as a Teenage Robot. It has no outlines, the hands are a lot like Fairly Odd Parents, and the eyes have a little pie cut, kind of like My Life as a Teenage Robot, and Rubber Hose, I guess. And the third, and my personal favorite art style, is the claymation art style, which is inspired also by Neighbors from Hell, The Neverhood, and more recently, Gumby. Of course, it features clay textures and more detailed shading. The shapes and designs are a lot weirder and lumpier, and human characters will occasionally feature swirls, which is also inspired by The Neverhood. Now that we went through all the differences between these 3 art styles, let's quickly cover all the changes throughout the show and its backgrounds. So in the very first episode, you can see that it's a lot like a pixel art animation that you'd see on Dorkly. Because I wasn't as skilled and I was lazy, this was the easiest thing for me to do, as it only took me 1 day to make this episode. But then I got a little bit more confident in the second episode, and I switched to traditional animation that was done on paper. But just as cavemen discovered fire, so did this caveman animator discover model sheets. Instead of always drawing the characters from scratch over and over again, I just trace over model sheets, which is something that I actually kind of do always, even now. Not only that, but I also got more comfortable with drawing on a PC, so I no longer draw stuff on paper first, then trace it over on PC. Plus I was running out of paper anyway. Then later on, I streamlined my process for backgrounds by tracing Gmod backgrounds, because then I could manipulate the camera and basically have any angle that I want. And in Season 3 was when I switched over from PaintNet to Krita. And the line art and backgrounds also changed. The line art got more varied and thicker, whereas before it was like Fairly Odd Parents, where it was thin on the inside but thick on the outside. Then Season 4 had a bit of an identity crisis because Around the time when I was making it, I started watching this show called Space Ghost, which has a background style that I really liked, so I was just copying that. And the characters' designs got a little bit more Looney Tunes-ish, just a little bit more simplified. And of course, it has white gloves and disgusting pie eyes. Of course, later on, the backgrounds stopped being traced, and I learned how to make backgrounds entirely from my imagination. Also, I stopped using the pie cut eyes because it didn't look good. It looks a lot better on the geometric style. But then when Season 5 came along, it once again had a bit of an identity crisis where I regressed back to having a style that was similar to Season 1 and 2, only cleaner and more refined. And I guess you could say that because the show now has free art styles, it still has an identity crisis, but I like to think of it as it having a multi-identity, if you know what I mean. And now, his third and final question: do you call SpongeBob Sunjir Bob or Spujva Bob in Bosnia?
Why
do you want to go to Mexico so bad?
I just love Latinas, Victor. Adios, amigo.
Whoa! There he goes! All the way across the border!
Can you do this, but with your characters? Well, since I'm a little bit tired, I'm only gonna do Joe, but I hope you like it. What's the future of these characters? Well, Joe is gonna become a teacher, Morris is gonna become an actor, and Faco is gonna become a father. What? And for the third and final question, will there ever be a movie? Yes, there will be.
Konnichiwa, sayonara.
Don't use flip a clip.